Then in the next slide, we are going to introduce with the modern physics. Okay, so what is modern physics actually? In ancient times, we had the contribution of people like Galileo, Newton. Oh, I missed the name Newton. Newton was a very big scientist. He had a huge contribution on the field of physics. He actually published three laws of mechanics: law of gravitational force, which we know nowadays, and that actually uh, strengthened the base of physics. Actually, based on the works of Newton, Galileo, and all other famous scientists of that time, the modern physics evolved, right? So in modern physics, we have few names we have few contributions of different scientists, and we are going to see what the contribution is and what the scientists do what in those fields actually. So first of all, let's talk about the scientist named Dalton, who introduced atomic theory in 1803. I believe we know about atoms. I believe you have already learned it in your previous classes, and you will learn these things in your chemistry book as well. What is atom? What is atom? And what are the things present in atom? First, in initial stage, it was given by Dalton, but that was not. That was not the proper. That was not the proper explanation. Then later on, many scientists worked on it, and they evolved that idea, and that idea, what we know today about the atom, about the structure and the characteristics of atom, is not a contribution of only Dalton, but he initially found the base of it, actually foundation of it. Then many other scientists like Rutherford, he showed that at the center of atom there is the smallest nucleus and there is a positive charge in it, right? We know that structure of atom like this. In the center, this is called nucleus, nucleus, and around the nucleus there are some orbits like this. Within these orbits there are electrons, right? There are electrons. We know about electrons that electrons are negatively charged, and within the nucleus there are two things. One is proton and another is neutron. Protons are positively charged and neutrons are neutral basically. It's positive, negative both. So protons are the positive charge and neutrons are the negative charge. Both composes nucleus, which is in the center of the atom, and around the atom there are shells. Within these shells there are electrons. So this idea was given by Rutherford, that he actually proved this. He showed that the center of the atom there is the smallest nucleus and there are positive charge in it. Now later on, Max Planck came in the 1900. Max Planck invented quantum theory, and the explanations of stability of an atom become possible. So studying atom was a very, very big field to study, and still there is studies going on. So Max Planck's quantum theory is very famous in modern physics. Man has worked on it. He made a great contribution in explanation of the stability of an atom. Okay, so another famous scientist, Satyendranath Bose, who is basically a Bengali, and he was a professor of Dhaka University when he gave an appropriate explanation of quantum to the theory of radiation. So we will learn about all these things. These terms might sound very confusing right now, but we will learn about all these things, but just for now, remember the name of this scientist and their work. Then another very famous scientist, I hope we all have heard his name. I think we have Einstein, Albert Einstein. We all have heard his name. Albert. Right? So basically what he did, he given the very famous theory of relativity. Theory of relativity usually encompasses two interrelated theories by Albert Einstein: special relativity and general relativity. This was proposed in 1905 and 1915 respectively. In that 19th century, these modern physicists like Einstein and the names which I've already said before, they made a huge contribution in physics, and whatever we see around us today is based on this modern physics. And modern physics is based on the ancient physicists which I've already talked about in the very beginning. So the theory includes the speed of light to define the relationship between the energy and matter. Small amount of mass can be interchangeable with enormous amount of energy, as defined as classic equation E is equal to mc square, right? It's a very famous equation. Many of you have already, I think, heard of this equation, E equal to mc square. So basically, it's a very complicated thing to understand. So just know for your convenience, just know that the mass and the energy are interchangeable. This thing was proved by Einstein, and this has a huge contribution in field of physics. Huge contribution. Still today, a lot of work is based on this. This is E is equal to mc square equation. So this man had a huge contribution in modern physics. Another name is there, which is Röntgen. He invented X-rays. ROENTGEN. So the name of a scientist who actually invented X-rays. X-ray, we heard about this term X-rays and how X-rays are used in the medical purposes. We know that. So this X-ray had actually huge contribution in not only in the medical sector, in many other sectors actually. And this rays actually X-ray was was discovered by Röntgen. So it's important that you remember the name as well. Then few other scientists like the couple called Marie Curie invented radium, and the scientists understood that the actual atoms are not imperishable and disintegrating. So this atom may emit radioactive radiation. So this radiation and radioactivity is a huge field on modern physics, and based on this radioactivity, the nuclear energy comes into play. That how this nuclear energy actually works and how this nuclear energy can be transformed into various kind of useful activities. So just know about all these things for now.